For the last 3 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, we have been talking about, especially in the Kenyan media, social media, a topic has been trending about chemical. There's a guy called Papa Fred Gamoya. I believe you have come across the skit in YouTube. I checked today morning, it's approaching 1 million views. What does it say about us? What does it say about our society? We have a cancer called fraud. We have a society where trusting someone is becoming extremely difficult by the day. Right now, you may know one or two people, a friend actually, who might have been affected by what they call the wash business. Someone who might have been defrauded somewhere, whether it is land, a house, whether it is a job. There are so many instances. Basically, you know someone who have been conned. To be honest with you, most people keep quiet. So today we would like to bring a professional perspective to it, an investment perspective to it, to tell you how you can avoid them. Wash and other investment fraud, how to avoid them. What is wash? Comes from Swahili word that means kuoshwa. One of the things a friend told me when I landed in the city after coming to college, they told me lazima ujue kuishi Nairobi. Basically, you have to know how to live in Nairobi. Usitolewe viatu. People will remove your shoes. Basically, you can easily be conned. You can easily get into a con game or a con investment scheme. Before I tell you how to avoid them, I would like to give you a bit of history. One of the things about US government, there's a time they put Kenya in a global hot list of money laundering, citing insufficient controls in circulation of dirty money and stuff like that. And of course, lack of law against terrorism, financing and stuff like that. I know the government has been at pains to ensure that they registrate, they provide these laws to ensure that we are safe. Over time, I believe they have been making progress. There are people who have been victims in the public realm of wash and fraudulent situations. I think you might have seen the news of a young man, 28 years old, who died of mysterious circumstances, of allegation of a fake gold business that went sour. It was actually a young man, then later his brother also was killed. It is that serious. A Turkish businessman, this was trending a few months ago, but this one is a different Turkish businessman. He lost 600,000, this is US dollars. That's like, we are talking about like 600 million shillings. It's not a joke. Fake gold scam. There's also another scam called Wangiri scam. This is a Japanese word meaning one telephone ring, then cut. There was a time a few months ago, almost a year, when people used to receive phone calls from international numbers. And you're wondering, where am I receiving from? Maybe Ukraine, from funny countries, maybe Afghanistan, some of them coming from Europe. Then you're wondering, who are these people? And it was so frequent. What happened is, once you call back, you are charged hefty fees, and then they disconnect. That's how they used to make money. Then they claim fees from the other side, maybe mobile telecommunication firms and stuff like that. That was a scam that was ongoing. I think one of the scams of our days is forex trading. Not to say forex trading is wrong. Actually, some banks do this on a professional basis. But one of the things I would like to tell you about forex trading, for you to be able to make money out of it, out of experience, I've tried this. You need to have structures, big money, people who understand the international markets for you to be able to trade in these currencies, for you to be able to make money. The truth is, people make money, people lose money. You need someone or an institution that is so well versed with this. So what is happening, people will advertise, they will even go on TV, on newspaper, and even in social media, asking for money for you to be able to join these schemes. Maybe you need to have an account. That's the most common. you have to pay for that account on monthly basis. For you to be able to trade, you have to pay something to join or to register for you to be able to trade. That's how they make their money. Then they get money from you, maybe they lose it in billions. There was a young man who deposited 297,000 shillings. This was in the media. They were promised to be getting 20% investment every month through their account. Honestly, the bank, what are interest rates? They are like 13.5, right? And this is per annum. Somebody is telling you they'll get 20%. Most of our investment will give you a maximum of 15% per annum. So a guy comes and tell you they can be giving you 20%. That's a lie. That's a shortcut. And we can find that in the media. So what we are saying, there are so many examples out there. Of course, you have had scams in our sector, and there are so many. I don't want to talk about them. Don't want to highlight them. This is from a small percentage of the players. Today I would like to focus more on telling you how to ensure you are not washed, you are not conned, hujatolewa viatu. That is my focus today, because you can do it. There are things you have to look at. But I would like also to educate or share with you the different types of wash businesses in Kenya. Most people are not aware. We have done enough research, and we can bring you this with a lot of confidence. And I believe you follow this piece of information and advice, you can be able to exactly know when they are coming. You can be able to see them, as they say, from 18. You can be able to sense them. You can be able to feel them, these wash con artists, before they arrive at their door. Because most people get to know once they have been duped. And they take advantage either of your greed, either of the nature of human beings. We want things to be done fast. That's why we talk about. That's why we look for instant tea, fast foods, everything instant. You go somewhere, you want to be served in 2 seconds. That's why technology is working so well. So there are different forms, and we start with the most common. If you look at the video that was trending, this is about fake money, right? They put money with something called a chemical. They were calling it chemical. They put it, then they put some notes in between. Then after a few days, I think that's a treatment, then you get fake money. That's the most common. But they lure you because they promise to multiply your money by a certain percentage or by a certain factor. But you see, let us reason together here. Why should somebody ask for 50,000 so that they make it 100,000? Why should they not just make the money themselves? I hope you are getting. Why should they ask for original money from you to give you double? They should actually make the money themselves instead of they don't have to disturb you. So they just are taking advantage of you. Number 2, we have fake gold. Has in the media for some time, from Congo, from Dubai. I think those destinations are very common. At some point, it involved very senior members of government, of our government. I think you remember the story. Some leakage was done, and you can hear some guys there. It is so common. That is what we already know in the media. There are others which we don't know. They lure you into purchasing pure gold worth millions to sell at a very high price, and then you lose all your money. So you'll come, this fake gold, they'll tell you, you can buy this. And most important, I want to tell you, if you buy a ring today, earring, a very small piece of gold that is pure is very, very expensive. So someone will come and tell you can get it, a big, maybe a kg for a very small amount. Then you can go sell in Dubai for maybe $1 million more. A lot of money, millions of shillings. And some of these guys come with very big cars, designer suits, and many other things, and they lure most people into those schemes. Number 3, we have fake tender. We have a culture of entrepreneurship in Kenya, something we have talked against in the past. There is no shortcut to success, and I can tell you that for a fact. You can't just get a tender of 1 billion, and that's it. Of course, people get rich through some of these corruption schemes. I'm not refuting that. And that is a fake way of getting rich, because you have to look at your back, you have to share with others. You don't know which government will come and investigate you and go to jail. You have to always look at your back. That is the minority. So people are always looking for tenders. So what happens, you get a notice for a tender, even in a newspaper and stuff like that, in social media, then they tell you to apply. And this is the catch. They'll tell you to apply for a certain amount of money. So there are tender papers, and this is standard practice where you get a certain amount which is non-refundable. They'll make maybe the amount higher. So for you to be able to apply for that tender to get those documents, then they get as many people as possible. Imagine charging like, say, and they'll charge good money because people are desperate for these tenders, charging like more than 10,000 per person, some even more than 50,000. Some of them will ask you for 100,000 for you to be able to get it. They just need to get a few people. Like if you charge 100,000, you just need 10 to make a million. If you want to make maybe 100 million, how many people are that? You just need 1,000. So they look for more, so many people, they get the money. That's the last time you'll hear from them. Number 4 is fake jobs. I think this is the most common. It is these jobs that are advertised, of course, in social media, even in the newspaper, the back pages in the classifieds. You'll find jobs, apply, you can make 30,000 every month, 50,000, to our desperate young people out there who are looking for jobs every day. So they take advantage of a need that is in the society, almost a crisis. And everyone who is looking for a job, including myself, when I was at that point, I would be interested to look for those opportunities, definitely. So they prey on the gullible, not necessarily gullible, these are people who have been vulnerable masses of young people. Then what happens is that most of them will ask you to maybe apply online. And once you apply, you get instant responses. And that's where it all starts. Imagine getting a response when you'll be looking for a job for so long. You feel I'm making progress. That is step 1. Number 2, they'll tell you there's an exam to be done. Basically, we do aptitude test when we're asking guys to apply for these jobs as part of the interview process. So they'll tell you, you apply, you come for an interview, this is online, you go for an interview online aptitude test, which you must pay. And most of them will even give you options, even international. And this, not just in the country, because it's online. They'll give you options where you have to buy this aptitude test, maybe for like 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, and 5,000. And maybe they are targeting like maybe more than 1,000 people. Once you apply and once you buy that aptitude test, that is the last thing you'll ever hear from them. And most of them, I would like to warn you, they use some complicated emails, Gmails, Yahoo, these public email addresses. Serious company like Username Investment, you'll have to use our domain at username.co.ke. If you have to receive an email from Username offering you a job, it will come from recruitment or HR at username.co.ke. Most of them will use like Gmail. Maybe a fake one might even come using something like recruitment at username, recruitment maybe at gmail.com, and so recruitment username at gmail.com, something that you will confuse and look real. Always look at the domain. It has to end with username.co.ke. For banks, let's use like KCB. It has to be kcb.co.ke. That last part. That's what they do. Especially to our young people, we are educated. But education is different from knowledge. Being well aware of of any situation in your environment, it is very important. Keep your areas up there and you'll not be conned. We also have fake investment scheme as number 5, and that's where real estate come in. We have had many fake investment schemes in real estate and also in the investment angles. That's where Forex also come in. People are able to say, and we have covered these topics about real estate, how to ensure you are not conned before. We have covered this in depth, telling you if you are buying land, go and see it. That's why in Username Investment, we don't charge for site visit. You'll come, you'll go every Wednesday and Saturdays for free. Come and see what we are selling. You see it, you touch it with your own hands, you see it exist, you see the beacons, you see the corners, stuff. You see other people also buying. In some projects, you'll find people building there. That is the evidence. For houses, we tell you, for them who are selling off-plan, they are not doing a bad job. Off-plan is the way of business in real estate, and we have to accept that. But it comes with controls. For you to ensure you get someone who really knows what they are doing, someone who will not scam you, especially if they are building. Just go and check the projects they have done. These risk in every investment, you have to understand that. Whether it is land, whether it is, there's always an element of risk. I'll tell you that for a fact. Your work is to reduce the risk as much as possible. How do you do this for people who are selling off-plan houses? Just go to their website, see the 15 projects they have done, pick 3 at random which they have finished, and visit. Some of them are doing a good job. Only like less than 2% of the industry maybe are doing a fake job, and these are the scammers we are talking about. People, if you have to tell them you want to visit the land, if you have to tell them you want to visit the projects they have done, they'll take you in circles forever. They'll not allow you to do that. You can't see an evidence of the houses they have done, even online. If they have to show them, some of them are fake. So how do you reduce your risk? Ensure you do site visits. If you are making payments, ensure you sign all the relevant documents. Also, ensure you do your research well. And because you may not be able to afford big lawyers to be able to go through the process we all go through, we tell you to look for companies that can be trusted. How you do get this? You have to do your research. You have to come to the ground, look at the projects they have done, the ones they have finished, the title deed they have been able to give. These are all online. We have given more than 8,000 title deeds, or almost 10,000 by now. And you might know someone from Username Investment, customer who got their title deed, a friend, a relative, and that's how you check this. And the last thing is lottery winnings, number 6. Basically, you need to deposit huge sums of money and get more. Of course, lottery is something that is done all over the world, even in the country, but there are fake ones where you are told to deposit some money, there's no process into it. Then they target a good big number of people with certain winnings that will never come. Once you give your money, that's the last thing you'll ever hear about it. You get washed. Let me tell you how they convince you before they wash you. Allow me to use that word, before they con you. Number 1, they'll give a first impression, and most of them will use or hire very expensive cars. Do you know you can hire a car? Even the most expensive cars in the world. Maybe you can have Rolls-Royce and stuff like that. Of course, in the Kenyan scene, the big government vehicles, these are Toyota Land Cruisers, can even come with 5, just for the purposes of scamming, depending on the amount we are talking about. So expensive cars, they also adore expensive designer suits and clothing. I believe you have seen that chemical video that was trending. The kind of attire these guys was having, it is a testament of how these guys behave. They behave like they live in a different world from ours. They have those blings and big, not to say those people who do that, there are people who are like that and they are good people. But this is something that if somebody is luring you to invest with them, be very careful if they come in that manner. Of course, you might look at suits, all of us want to be smart, but it is a precursor to be able to tell you to investigate further. They also brainwash you give you a big picture of earnings. They'll tell you how you can earn millions in a short time. Let me use the word millions. You want to earn millions in a very short time. So they'll come with a big picture. You talk about big cars, designer clothing, big houses. They can hire a house like in that video somewhere, and by the time you are washed, you'll never know what happened to you. So they'll give you a big, you see, all of us have a desire to succeed, myself included, and the desire is very hard for some people. The shortest time you can pay, especially our young people right now, most of them want to just get rich, which is very dangerous. Getting rich and wealthy is not bad, but the problem is when you want it to happen overnight, and that's not how the world works. And today I have to tell you clearly, the world does not work like that. Of course, you can make it. A few have made it. Some of them, maybe I'll make enemies out of this. The reality is, real wealth takes time. That wash will one day. People have died, even young people. You don't know whether you'll be one of those statistics. Wealth is not just about money. It's also about your health, about your relationships, about your well-being. Most of them, when you are 60, That's when you know you just did not need all the money in the world. You also needed to take care of your family. You put your family in jeopardy. But some people will just brush this off. But today I'm trying to address those people who really want to do things right. Those people who want to move forward. Those people who want to do things the right way, live a fulfilled life, live the right generation of young people, take care of their family and their loved ones, not putting them in danger. There's also another, how they convince you until they wash you. There's still another method they use. One of the things is they have to show you evidence of something that works the first time. And maybe for most people it's the first time before they wash you the second. If you look at that video, allow me to refer to that. Terence Creative did a very nice job. I think it's very educative. The reason it's trending is because most of us can be able to relate to it. Most of us, even when you keep quiet, it means you have been washed. If you check that video clearly, I think this is episode 2. They first gave this couple 300,000 to show them that it worked. I think they planted, let me use those words. It's also in our religious circles, planting a seed and stuff like it has been misused, but not to say we have good Christians who are 95%. So 50,000 became 300,000. That was the first evidence they needed. Then they called the guys from the safe and they brought 10 million shillings. So they'll give you, they'll ensure the first deals work so well. Even in our sector, there are of course people who do the first job well. They'll do one project well, then they use it to lure you. And that's what I'm saying. Out of the 15 projects a company has done, just visit 3 of them. It is so taxing. Let me tell you, we do a lot of work to make things work. Somebody will not, a con will not have a patience to make half of their projects work so that they con you. These are good people. Most con will only make one project work, and that's why you need to be very well aware. Then of course they will multiply the first bunch of cash, deliver the first gold consignment, deliver the first project so well, and that's how they come just before they wash you. Of course, from this video, I think you have seen, I don't want to repeat that to demonstrate how the process is done. Some of them are even, I think because of that process, you see, all of us want to succeed. We have a desire, we have a goal, we keep going to church, and of course you have preached, you come with a lot of fire, you have what you wanted to do this year. Because of that, some of us become vulnerable and it becomes greed. What happens with that? Someone even with a very fake scheme can be able to catch you because you can't see it, because your target is on what you want to get. Your target is on the goal of getting like 10 million shillings, so you can't see anything else. That's why even in that video, they are using a certain chemical, which is very fake if you ask me. This is something that if I look at it myself as an investor, it looks so simple, but most people fall for it. How can you just use some chemical somewhere and multiply your money? It looks stupid, but some people fall into it because you are so focused on how much you'll make. Let me tell you, most of us, and this is a reality, and this is something that can make me make a lot of enemies. The reality is we get conned because there's a greed component in ourselves. We also have greed inside ourselves. But then if you are to look things clearly, with all your eyes, or most of us are educated by the way, you know someone is scamming you. If you can actually not tell someone, I give someone 10 million to use certain chemicals to multiply it. You can't tell people that because you know it is fake, but what guides you is your greed. And that's why we are doing this Facebook Live. I believe our research can be able to help so many people out there. Go slow, by the way. Research and think before you commit your money. Do your own research, and that's why Indeed Estate we tell you to go for a site visit. Unless you have invested with us before, taken through the process, there are thousands of people outside in this country, even in diaspora all over, who have our title deeds. So when they come back to us, they already know we have delivered like 3 projects. There's no reason for us to lie. But ensure you send someone or you go see the land yourself. Let me, finally, there are characteristics of people who will lure into this business. We talked about them having flashy cars, latest designer clothes, latest watches and phones, big ones. They'll have like 2 phones and bling blings and stuff like that, and they'll most of them will also fake being very busy. They'll take calls in between. I think you saw in that video calls about somebody will fake a call with the president and then cut it down there, and as a matter of ensuring you get into the box. They'll take you to expensive hotels and clubs, or maybe 5-star hotels. They'll buy expensive drinks. I know they'll also purport to have connections with people outside the country. I have friends from the UK, from the US, big names. I have friends from Australia. They also purport to have connection with big people, prominent people in the country, like the president, vice president, ministers, governors, and stuff like that. To be honest, I have come across a friend who did that to me. Of course, they did not con me. This is more of an acquaintance. They came to me. They started talking big about how they know certain ministers, governors, and stuff. They were throwing words, and they were looking for my money for them to get a tender. So they were telling me they need like 200,000 so that they can get that tender because of the connection, how things work in Kenya. I think we are living in a society where everyone is really trying to make it. They don't care about the process. They justify the mean, which is a very dangerous way of living in a society. So this guy thought I'll just fall for it, and I asked so many questions. And I told you, in fact, if you are getting this tender worth millions of shillings and you just need 200,000, the one giving you a tender can actually be able to get you this money. You can actually, there's a time bank give loans because of LPOs. You go in an LPO and they fund you. You can look for these kinds of people. So if you have that kind of contract, it also means the people who are giving to you, because they are also rich, those prominent people you are talking about, they can actually get that money and you get the tender. Why are they not doing it? Because this is a con game, this is a wash-wash kind of schemes. There are many stories I can give today. There was also another guy from, he said he was from Sudan. He wanted to build a hospital in Thika Road, so he wanted to buy land from us. This guy did not want to buy land from us. It is how it starts. The first thing is they get into the box. So we went through him. He wanted to buy half an acre to build a hospital. It was being funded outside the country by big people, I think from Europe. Later we learned the guy was not from Sudan, it was from Congo. Later, he used to take us to big cars, to hotels we meet. We wanted to sell land to them. Could be at the end of the day, to cut the long story short, we realized for us to be able to buy that land, they told us they are receiving a lot of money outside the country in cash. And you had to go to JKIA very early in the morning to receive that cash. We give them some of the cash. We are left with how much we sold the land for. But before we did that, they called, I think they called that early morning. We are not going anyway, to say that there's a certain officer who is holding the cash and we need to give, I don't know whether it was 100,000 for the money to be released. And that's how I knew it was a wash and we were almost being washed. I'm very keen because I'm an investment person. I have to understand what I'm investing in, and it can be very disturbing if you try to bring me an investment scheme, because I'll ask you questions. I have to understand what you are doing before I put my money there. Those people who are in a hurry, don't come to me, go to another person. There's also another story about a fake job. I talked about fake jobs and how young people are lured. This was a conference somewhere in Ghana. This was a colleague of mine. So they used to send him emails about a conference. They are going to fund this colleague of mine to go to Ghana for that conference. Who doesn't want to go outside the country? And most young people want to do that. So they are funding everything. They kept communicating for some time, I think for more than a month. So the first thing, they gain trust in you, put you in the box. That's what they did to my colleague. Once they realized they had the trust of this person, what they did is, of course, they told them they are going to fund everything, I think, except accommodation in the country. They're also going to fund their flight. So you are all sorted, except accommodation. money which had to be sent before they go there. And that's where the catch was. To be able to convince my colleague that it was a scam, it took long. They were already into it. But let me tell you, what drives you into trouble is the greed component, which is natural for human beings. So people will lure you. They'll take advantage of that greed component in all of us. It is more in other people. Eventually, because you can't be able to see, what you can see is the 10 million they are offering. They'll ask for maybe a small amount of money, like 50,000, which you have to borrow from some people. And that, my friend, is how you get washed. So how do you avoid these schemes? And that's the last thing I was going to say. There are many stories, my friend. If you don't have a story about someone who has been washed, you are not living in this country. I will tell you that for a fact. If you don't, you yourself, a friend, a family, if you don't know someone who has been washed, who has not been conned somewhere, I think you are very lucky to be alive in a country like ours. So this is a cancer that is affecting all of us. And the best thing we can do at this moment is to do our own research and find out how can we help our people, especially our young people who get lured into betting schemes, cryptocurrencies you have not mentioned. You are told you have to register for an account where you have to pay money every month and you don't have a job because you are being told that's how people are making millions. Of course, they'll give you a figure. And these guys are just making money out of you. You give your money, then they go into the blues. They look for a lot of people, especially very desperate people. So today we are educating you. How do you avoid this money laundering con scheme, these wash schemes? Number one is to avoid get rich quick kind of schemes. I will tell you this for a fact. No one woke up in the morning to make money for you. I will tell you that. No one woke up in the morning to just help you. You have to earn your money. You have to work hard. I will tell you, there's nothing like overnight success. It takes years for you to, maybe for very few who are lucky and very blessed. But for most of us, you really have to work hard. Almost for everyone. And this is also in the Bible, my friend. You really have to work hard. Anything that looks easy, run, my friend. So you have to do hard work, invest in tangible investments. No, most of us know. Let me tell you, most of us have gone to school. Most of us. And if you really want to think clearly, you really want to ask questions and go slow. Stop looking for the 10 million they are offering you. Look at the 5,000 you are going to lose. Look at whether the investment scheme makes sense. And always remember, it will take years before you succeed. The good thing, and these are the good news about working hard, eventually, if you work hard on the right things, you will succeed. Number two, for investment, avoid unregulated schemes and investment. People have lost money, and this is where your research comes in. Most of us are regulated and registered. Our company, if you go to the register of companies, you do a search, you'll find us there. There are briefcase companies that are not registered. Even if they are registered, these are briefcase companies, they don't have an office. We have a big office here in Lemark Towers in Westlands, 2 other offices in the country. You can visit them to find for yourself. Do your own research, avoid unregistered people who don't have offices, not all of them. Some of them, especially for online business, they have a store somewhere. Do your own research. Never invest in a business you can't understand. This is from Warren Buffett, the king of investment in the world. One of the richest men in the world. He has made his money through investment. One of the interesting things about rich people in the world, especially in the US, I may not know about many details, but I know Bill Gates did not engage in a wash to become a billionaire. So is Jeff Bezos. Many other people in the world, they did not, but they are still rich. Why? Richer than people who engage in wash. Same thing happened in high school days and primary, as I'm in college, where you had guys with more Kenyans. How come they never become position 1? Never. I'm waiting to hear an example of somebody who did a more Kenya and was number 1. It is the same thing with investment. Because if you are patient enough, if you do your own research enough, if you sit down and think before you put your money there, most likely you make the right decision. And the reality of life, for you to become wealthy, it takes time. You have to build. Let me give you an example of a baby as they grow. There's no way a baby can grow. You can't force a baby to grow. Basically, that's what I'm saying. They have to go through stages. You can't force a baby to walk. They have to learn how to walk slowly. That is how wealth works. That's how success works. It is something that you have to water. It pains me when I see, especially our young people, you do a business for 6 months, then you give in. You get a job for 3 months, then you say it's difficult. It takes time for you to be able to succeed. It will take years. So you need your patience as long as you are doing the right thing. Never in a business you don't understand. I'll give you an example for username investment. In the year 2016, 2017, there was something called agribusiness schemes for real estate investment companies, real estate companies. It was very popular. One of the things that happened to us, we were approached by guys and companies that were doing agribusiness. Basically, they manage the farms for you. Your work is to sell the land and then you give returns. Then I asked these guys, how can you give returns of $500,000, 600,000 in 6 months? I would rather do the farming myself as username investment because we are also looking for money. We are looking for business, my friend. Why should I allow you to make the 600,000 instead of myself? So we had difficult questions and we took them through. Finally, we realized this thing will eventually become a scam. In 2018, all the organizations and companies that were doing this went down because it was a scam. Let me tell you, how we sell land affordably in username investment for $500,000 shillings. The properties we have now, but our ranges are between 100 to 800,000, 95% of our projects. How can I give you another extra $500,000 from that plot, an eighth of an acre from farming? And one of the questions I asked, because I'm also an investment, I'm a businessman, I really wanted to know how they are making money because I want to be on the other side where they are selling that produce to make all that kind of money because I'll change my business model. I don't need to ask you to bring your money so that I give you $500,000 every month. I wanted to know where the markets were. And most of them could not answer that question. Why are they selling this capsicum? I understand we have, food is one of the biggest things in the world, even in Africa. Agribusiness will be very big at some point, but the right way. So after asking so many questions, why are we selling this produce for us to give those huge returns and still make our own money? No one could answer that question. Can you give that money to somebody else? Listen. How can you give that money to somebody else instead of making that money yourself and keeping it for yourself? So no one could answer that question. Eventually it became a scam. And that's why username investment, among many other companies, we never involved ourselves in agribusiness. But I understand there are companies who do it right and still make it. But those returns were so huge, they were outside this world, it was not possible. Maybe smaller returns, which I can't give right now, because agriculture is affected by many things. You can dig a borehole and get dry. The weather can be dry. The crop, the harvest can be affected. And we know, I come from a farming family and I know this. So please understand the investment. Ask questions. Don't just invest blindly. A friend of mine, I know time is going in the university, is still a friend of mine. Maybe he's watching this or he'll get to watch this. There was something called DESI, which later became a scam. Those are many years ago. It's one of the scams in this country. And it actually got so much into church. Church leaders were affected and they were telling their members to invest. Basically, you put 5,000, you get 15,000. To be honest with you, as part of the scam, the scammers who are behind it, I don't know who was behind it, they ensure that you get your return maybe the first few months. Put 5,000, you get 15,000. And I think my friend, one of the early takers of this scam. The early takers in any scam make money. Any scam you may talk about, whether it's quails, there are so many scams. Whether it's quails, they make a lot of money. Because what happens at the top there, people are feeding you. They are like 5 people. Like they'll tell you, one of the signs of an investment scam, of a scam, is where they tell you you have to pay a certain amount every month to register. Then you look for 5 people who would also be paying a similar amount. Those 5 people feed into your network. If they are giving 5,000, they will, for each of the 5 people, they'll be giving you 2,000 each. Then the 5 people will look for another 5. Then it becomes like an atomic bomb. So 2,000 goes up. They feed you on top and people make money. Our friend who used to receive checks in the university every day, that time online things were not working so well. But finally, those scams collapsed because the majority down there, they don't have anyone to sell to. They can't reach anymore. People already know it's a scam. Their 5,000 get washed, and finally, it go down. The initial investors in these scams make a lot of money. I'm not saying you should be the initial investors because a scam is a scam. It might be your brother or your sister suffering down there, right? So please understand the investment scheme. This guy for Desi, I did not finish that story. Eventually, of course, you know, Desi became a scam. One of the questions I asked him, where are these guys investing? The Desi that point. He used to say real estate, stock market. You see, it's so vague. I'm in real estate. If you tell me I'm investing, I understand. Where are you putting that money? Because I want to put my money there, make a lot of money without having to give it to the people I'm asking to contribute to me. So he could not tell me where they are investing their money for them to be able to multiply my money by 3 times. If you can't understand it, please don't invest it. Higher. The last thing I would like to say about how to avoid. If something is too good to be true, please avoid it. If it is too good to be true, most likely it is a scam. But before you avoid it, do your own research. I said all of us can be able to go to the internet, you Google, you understand how something works in some few minutes. You can consult people who are in the industry. Seek to understand. If it is too good to be true, always think twice about it. If it is too good to be true, I like to add, research about it. Because most likely, you realize someone is lying somewhere. Do they want to multiply your money by 2 times, 3 times, from 50,000 to 10 million shillings? This was, from the video, it was 10 million shillings to 50 million shillings. And they actually get into your system, your mind. They actually take advantage of your greed, and that's why we said from the beginning, avoid get-rich-quick scheme. Stop being greedy. Please control that and know it takes time for you to become wealthy. So avoid get-rich-quick scheme, avoid unregistered scheme, never invest in a business you don't understand. Also don't hand over your money to someone who is willing to multiply it and give it overnight. It doesn't work like that. It takes time to make wealth. Always remember that. Not to discourage you, but to tell you with patience, just like Akina Bill Gates, the other people in Kenya who have made their money genuinely. Some of these big banks, I know people may contest that. There are people who have worked hard. Equity has been here with us for how many years? And people have become rich through that bank. They have worked hard for it. And many other investors I may not be able to mention right now. If you are patient, if you research well, you understand what you are investing in, and you are consistent in this, you'll become wealthy one day. Please avoid this get-rich-quick scheme. They'll end up nowhere. They'll actually put your family in danger and people you love. And even if you succeed, one day when you are 60 years old, 70 years old, when you know you did not get it right, when money is no longer a question and you have it, there are other things that will disturb your peace. Maybe the money you scammed someone died. Someone went to the hospital and they did not make it. These are the realities of our world today. So those are some of the research, some of the few notes you have gotten from our research, some of the things that we can share today. And we are hoping that you'll be able to benefit from this content. We are asking you maybe to comment down there, the people who have been scammed. You can share. Maybe someone can learn from another scam that is coming up there. You go to social media, you'll find them. Please comment down there. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Please don't forget. ask any questions regarding investment real estate. We'll be able to answer you. This is Real Estate in Kenya with Reuben Kimani. I look forward to seeing you next time. Do have a nice day.